All right, we are live. It is the Extrovert's Guide to COVID-19, episode 11.
11, yeah.
Episode
It'll be
11.
a year next month. Yay,
Oh
we
my
started in
gosh.
May of last year. That's so crazy.
Wow. Wow. Welcome to all of y'all who are joining us on Facebook tonight. Jen and I were just talking. We are, oh, and now I've got myself in stereo. We'll change that, mute myself there. We are joining you in the evening for a change as Jen and I prepare to present and attend the combined Great Lakes region and Midwest region music therapy conference over the next few days. So welcome to
Yeah.
the new folks who are joining us this evening, and welcome to those of you who have been joining us throughout the last 11 months as we have been spending time together during this global pandemic, really focusing on our self-awareness as extroverts and also as human beings, and
hmm
just learning together on this journey. Yeah. Welcome, Jen.
Yeah. I'm super excited about tonight. I know Jen and I are both, like she said, gearing up for conferences. We both have many presentations in the next few days. So the reason we chose to do tonight is because we'll both be presenting tomorrow during our normal time. So Jen, tell me and anyone listening, what are you presenting on? And kind of if you want to give a tip or a trick from your presentations, maybe that's where we could start.
Absolutely. I am so excited. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, I get to present a CMT, a continuing music therapy education course on self-care and burnout in music therapy, which, as many of you know, is one of my topics that I'm very passionate about and frequently
Yay.
present on. And it's always just a powerful time to affirm some of the things we know and validate the importance of caring for ourselves and caring for each other and supporting each other in this as music therapists and as human beings. I also get to present tomorrow afternoon a CMTE on defining and living out our core values, vision, and mission.
Love
And
it.
I am super excited about that. This is my first time presenting this outside of our MT Mentor group. And so I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to get to dive deeper into this with a group of folks and see how it goes and learn from their feedback. One of the things I always love when I present is I have anonymous feedback forms, thanks
Ooh,
Google
I like
Form,
that.
that folks, yeah, I just share the link at the end of my presentations. And I know the regions always do their own evaluations too. And I find it really helpful to get people's feedback in the moment. And so looking forward to learning from that one. Kyle Fleming, and a shout out today, Kyle just announced the opening of his new private practice, Fleming Music
Yay.
Therapy. So congratulations, Kyle.
That's
And
awesome.
Kyle and I are presenting for the students on From Inquiry to Internship, the Student's Guide for Success, and some tips for students who are looking at applying for internships, and some little helpful hints to stand out. And then I also get to present both at the GLR MWR Combined Conference and at the Southeastern Regions Conference this weekend as part
What?
of, I know, as part of the 21st Century Commission on the Education and Clinical Training of, the Commission on the Education and Clinical Training of 21st Century Music Therapists. Woo, otherwise known as the Commission, will be presenting at all of the regional conferences. And so we've got two of those presentations with the Commission this weekend. And I really
Jeez.
encourage y'all to attend that. We are moving into the process of working on our recommendations for the board. And so this is your opportunity to share some suggestions with us on how you would like to see our profession move forward, and particularly changes you might want to see in the education and clinical training programs, what we should keep, what we need to change, where there needs to be big major changes, where we just need to tweak some things. We really want your suggestions for making those recommendations. So I will, as we're
Yay.
talking, share some of that information. It's also shared widely on social media as well. And so if you check out the Commission's social media platforms, you'll see all the information about our regional conference presentations there. How about you, Jen? What are you presenting on this week?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that the commission is doing great work, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
all of your service on it and everybody else who's serving on that. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
We
So for
appreciate
me,
that.
yeah, my CMTE tomorrow is on business finances because,
Woohoo!
I became a board certified music therapist to present on business every conference. That's, I
You
think the
are
only thing.
so good at it, though. You are just a rock star at it, Jen. So
Appreciate you
thank
saying
you for
that.
that.
I appreciate you saying that. And I feel like my mind just really, it's like, I have a very analytical brain. And so
Mhm.
it like has worked for me and I love it. And it's great because I get to still be a music therapist inside of owning a business. But so I
Yeah.
get to present with Rochelle Morgan. And so she is
Yay!
an amazing music therapist. And so I'm excited about it because like with us doing the joint conference, it's perfect because she's in the Midwest region. So I don't usually get the opportunity to present with her at a regional
Yeah.
conference.
Yep.
So I love the fact that I took advantage of this and that Rochelle was open to presenting with me too. And I got to see her today as we kind of finish up, the last tweaks of our presentation. And I'm just super excited to present with her. Feel
Nice.
super honored to just get to even work with her. So we're diving, bare surface stuff, but we're going to get into, profit loss and balance sheets and cash flow. I feel like for me, I got more in touch with those documents during 2020 than ever before as I watched my business begin to kind of struggle through the pandemic. And I feel like I have learned so much about business just even in the last year. And I was really fortunate for having taken the Streetwise MBA program in the Emerging Leaders in 2019 that I feel like, I really can talk about this subject much better than I have in the past. But so I have that. And then I have 2 concurrent sessions, both on Saturday. One in the morning, Find Your Harmony, Finding Harmony for Parenting and You. I've presented on this subject a few times, but every single time I present on it, I bring more to the table. So because I feel like living in harmony. And so this time I'm bringing in like some more key components of what finding harmony is and how we can dive deeper into finding harmony in our lives. And so this has been so much harder during the global pandemic, finding that harmony, as you and I just kind of talked about before we even hopped on, some of the struggles that both of us have had through the pandemic with connection and community. And the whole biggest part of finding harmony and having harmony in your life is about your community. And for me, it's like my community has shifted and changed so much. And it's so much harder to find connection that sometimes I'm finding it in places that like I don't really need it. And I was telling you about my horrible habits of social media right now. And so we can dive a little deeper in that later if we want. But
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say if you wanted, my third one, and then we can circle back if you want. My third session is, what is it? Growing Pains with Amy Foley. So I love Amy Foley. And so Amy and I are presenting about knowing where your business is in a succession, like knowing kind of if you're in startup or if you're in takeoff, and there's or maturity rather. And there's 5 different steps of business growth and kind of how you gauge where your business is and then how you get through each of those steps together. So it's very, again, it's a chart that you can kind of see where your business growth is coming and how you get to those places. And so, Amy and I both have a lot of real life experience in business. And I feel like we bring a lot to the table when talking about growing pains.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, phenomenal, Jen. I want to circle back to what you said about support and connection, because when I was thinking about this episode and what is important to me when I think about virtual conferences together, so much of it is about connection and really about meaningful connection. And so it's not just about trying to get to every session and every meeting and every event and every entertainment. It's about creating those opportunities to really connect with folks. And so that might mean skipping a session and Zooming or chatting with someone. That might mean, really being present for the sessions that we attend and setting aside that time where we want to be really fully connected and present with the folks who are there. At least for me, and particularly as an extrovert, that's one of the things that I've found when it comes to virtual connection. That's important, is really being fully present, because when we're not, that affects everybody. And really focusing on making meaning out of that connection together. And then it's possible to be connected virtually. We don't, it's been amazing to me how connected, and those of you who know me know my family has been having these fam jams daily for 5 months and now 3 times a week. And it is amazing to me how connected I've felt to my family and to you, Jen, because of these extroverted Jens, to the MT Mentor folks, because of our peer supervision groups that we have together. I'm always amazed when we focus on meaningful connection, how powerful that is. And speaking of meaningful connection, I want to give a shout out to Leslie Henry, who is joining us today. One of my favorite people to connect with in the world. It's so great to see you, Leslie, there. And I want to just invite, and Leslie would like to invite any interested attendees to the advocacy session with Jessica DeVilliers and Christy Merrill on Friday from 10 to 11:15 Central. Thanks for adding that to the chat, Leslie. And yeah, those of you who are listening and attending, if you are presenting or if you want to highlight a session or two, please add those to the chat too. Music therapy advocacy is so important. And Leslie and Jessica and Christy, thank you for the work that you all are doing and the other folks who are doing on that. When we talk about meaningful connection, right? That's a huge piece of advocacy. At least for me, advocacy in music therapy is all about creating connection.
I love too AMTA's, connection before correction too. Yes. And like, that's been a big thing for me, even when talking about, misrepresentation here in Indiana, especially like right now we've got some, title protection stuff going through. And I feel like anytime that's going on, it's like, I've become more hyper aware of it as well. Mm-hmm. And so we've had some things that we've had to do. And I love that, that connection over correction. And I think that goes in so many different areas of life as well. So for me with conference, a lot of times when I go to conference, I'm one of the people who don't really go to a ton of concurrent sessions. I go to some, but now that I'm presenting more and I feel like I just have way more on my plate when I go to conferences, that networking is always my thing. Mm-hmm. And it's so much harder to network when you're online. And so, I want to be really intentional with this conference of trying to meet somebody new or trying to meet new people and trying to figure out ways of doing that in the conference platform. And then also, one of the things that I, jokingly sent a private message to somebody about, wanting to be a part of something. And I was like, this is like me seeing you in the hallway.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry I didn't send an email. I probably should have, but I'm just going to Facebook message you. And it's like, hi, and telling you what I'm telling you. And so I'm glad that the person chuckled about that too, and wasn't upset that I reached out in an informal way. But I felt like it was a really good moment. And it was like a connection with that person during that interaction as well. So I think even, finding ways of connecting with people in like a playful, fun way can also make us feel more connected on virtual when we have that opportunity with people we feel comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should start that as a thing.
Let's do it.
Using Messenger or texting or whatever you've got to like do a quick wave. And we could use, wave emojis or wave bitmojis and just do some waving in the hallways. Or if you're me, the slow run to the big hug. I always need to have those with a few people, right?
Right?
Yeah. And speaking of people that I love to run into in the hallways at conference, Michael and Biblu, thanks for watching. Hello. Big hugs. And yeah, I'm going to miss the conference hugs too. I'm so grateful that we got to have GLR in person last year.
Oh God, me too.
That last source of connection before the pandemic for us was so powerful. And just that chance to really, as you were talking about, to not only network, but to do it in some fun, playful ways. I remember us doing some elbow things because we weren't quite sure about this pandemic thing back then. And that was so much fun. So hi, Mike, and hi to all y'all who are joining us. It's so much fun to have you here. I need to do another shout out before I forget to the awesome Alex Puser, who is just a rock star when it comes to this conference, when it comes to social media. Alex has been working really hard along with a lot of folks to get ready for this conference. And he shared with us a link for those of you who are going to the GLR Midwestern Region Conference. If you're not sure how to work on Crowdcast, if this is your first time playing around on Crowdcast, here is a helpful link that I'm popping in the chat from Alex for all y'all to get familiar with it a little bit so we can make the most out of this time. And I think that's one of those pieces when we talk about virtual conferences, is feeling comfortable enough on the platform that we can make the most out of it. Because a lot of these platforms have all sorts of in and outs and really great perks. I know Alex and the other folks from the conference have started a Facebook group as well for the GLR Midwestern Region Conference that we've tagged in our description of this Facebook Live. So that group is there. If you're attending, please join us. And a big woohoo, Alex from Julie Palmieri. Speaking of music therapy rock stars, Alex and Julie rocking it out on the social media for the Midwestern region and the Great Lakes region. So Jen, how about if we, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm hoping for some awesome memes from Julie this weekend. No pressure, Julie, but I really am hopeful. I saw some good ones already. So
Oh yeah, if you're a fan of the Great British Baking Show, there is an entire thread happening in the Facebook group right now for the conference. So check that out. I was thinking that we could do maybe the pluses and the minuses, as well as some reminders for virtual conferences, because I know both of us have some of the things that are great, and then there's some of those really big challenges when it comes to virtual conferences. Do we want to start with the
yeah.
challenges, or do we want to start with the pluses?
Either way is fine. I know I have a couple challenges that I have a plus already for. So one of the ones I really want to share this hack tonight, and so I can't take credit for it. So right after national conference, I ended up having to buy blue lens glasses because I will tell you that after national conference, I had the absolute worst headache I've ever had in my life, and it lasted for like 2 days because my eyes were just done, and I could feel the headache like right behind my eyes.
Yes.
And I like, it was so hard. It was like hard to manage. So it was on Debbie Bates' Facebook. Somebody was talking about how they had an HDMI cable, and they were HDMIing their computers to their TV and watching conferences on TV. So I bought a 25-foot. Why the heck I ever needed a 25-foot HDMI cable? Until now, I had no idea I would ever need that. So I have a 25-foot HDMI cable. And so I plan to attend conference by watching it on my TV and not my computer to save my eyes a little bit so I can be further away. It's going to be a lot bigger. And I hope to not have a migraine by the end of conference again. And so it was like the best thing. So if you can go out and get a 25-foot HDMI cable or a large HDMI cable, or you have one and can figure out put your computer close, whatever, that's what I'm doing. And so I don't even remember who it was. It was just another music therapist, but it was on Debbie Bates' Facebook that gave the suggestion. So whoever you are, thank you.
I love that idea. So does Leslie. We've given a shout out to Debbie. Maybe she can tell us who it was that came up with that great idea. Yeah, I absolutely must have the blue glare glasses. And I'd also say, when we're talking about, hacks and tips and tricks, to, make sure that we prep for this just like we would for the in-person. And so I see you've got your soda. I've got my Wonder Woman water.
I love it. I love
it. I also have my Tony's Chocolate Lonely Chocolate.
So my thing is I always take donuts to conference. So I need to go buy donuts because it's the only time I eat donuts. And every year before I go to conference, I buy donuts. So yes. I need to go get some.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, one of my favorite memories from being local co-chair for the national conference back in 2019 is the folks who snuck me donuts. Because I didn't have the time to get out to Glam Doll Donuts, and I love their donuts. And so let's see, Bernadette Skodak, I think that was you. Kelly, that might've been you. I'm trying to remember who it was, but there was some awesome folks that made sure I got donuts, including sneaking them into me in the middle of a big awards thing that was going on or something. I just remember amazing. In the dark, sneaking and hiding the donuts, and you could smell them. Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. That's so amazing. Preparing, we need to care for ourselves during this. So food, hydration, breaks from the screen, whether that's, I will be wearing my blue glare glasses, doing the HMI cable. I love that. As Taylor Beloga-Lufat said, being able to sit on the couch or move around the living room while you watch. Yeah. And the great thing with Crowdcast is, unless you're in one of the Zoom sessions. So the CMTEs will be on Zoom and some of the other meetings will be on Zoom. But when you're in the Crowdcast, just regular concurrent sessions, your video and audio will not be on. And so I know for me, right, being able to not stare at the screen the whole time, to give myself something else to look at, to take breaks for physical activity, to get out and walk, to move, to give ourselves breaks. Carol Kaltenheim was my advisor back in college, way back in the 90s, when I went to my first music therapy conference. I think it was 1992. Yeah, probably the national conference in 92. And her advice to us was to make sure we skipped a session. Do something fun. Ooh. And I would say that also applies to virtual. And Mike has just given us something fun that you can do. The Pound Rockout Workout is going to be on Friday morning at 8 a.m. That's awesome, Mike. So if you're looking for something fun to do, as well as some physical activity, a break from just staring at a screen and, sitting there, by all means, do that. And
9
being
a.m.
able,
Eastern. Sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
yes, thank you. 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Mountain. Wherever you're at, that's helpful.
6 a.m.
Yeah.
Pacific.
Other helpful hint for virtual conferences: check your time zones.
I had both of my current concurrent sessions and the wrong time zone. So fortunately, I would have showed up an hour early because of the time zone change. But yeah, so someone mentioned to me, and I was like, "Oh, I changed that yesterday." So,
Yes, if you're looking at the conference program for GLR Midwestern region, all those times are Central Time. So for those of us currently in Mountain, subtract an hour, which means I'm starting bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Or if you're in Eastern Time, add that hour there. Awesome. There's other benefits to being virtual, and I have to say, yeah, thanks, Mike's adding in the time zones now. Comfy clothes is definitely one of them for me, and comfy socks, and right, being able to veg out and be comfy while we learn. I am all about that.
me too.
And yeah, yeah.
I think
Oh,
at AMTA, I took a few selfies of my professional on top and not on bottom. And that was for like live meetings that I had to be on screen for. And it was just like, yeah, I got sweats and a really nice shirt on. And it's all right.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'll be in leggings all weekend with a nice shirt, and of course layers, because it wouldn't be a music therapy conference without layers. So I do have, of course, the many cardigans that I can put on. If my family is watching, it's a joke how many cardigans I always have, and I always have one over the back of my chair at my desk. So don't worry,
like
I'll
just
have my
like
cardigans.
that's just like attending a live conference. You have to wear like 3 different things because you have no idea if you're going to walk into a room and it's going to be freezing cold. And then the next room you're going to go to is going to be like 95 degrees inside.
Absolutely.
And so it's just like a real conference.
Oh, well, Jen and I were talking about some of the challenges of virtual conferences as well. And one of those is, yes, the therapist uniform, Leslie Henry says. I love it. One of those is being home and still having all of our home and maybe other responsibilities at the same time. I know I just set my out of office message, just like I would if I was going out of town. If you email me over the next few days, you will get an out of office message, and I'm giving myself that time. I know. Jen and I were just talking about this morning. So Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about that challenge? Because I know it's even amplified for you having your girls.
Yeah. And I say that, and I am clearing some space for conference, but, I have a challenge that like right now I'm kind of with my intern too. And so since I'm here, I kind of feel obligated to be with my intern tomorrow. So like I had to figure out what to do with my morning while I was presenting with my intern. And then I'm going to be with him in the afternoon. So I'm actually working my normal day tomorrow. And like normally I would be on my way to conference today, and I'd be gone for 4 days. And so, and I'm going to have my daughters at home. I am going to send my daughters to my mom's house on Friday and Saturday, but I'm going to be taking them to school tomorrow before my CMTE, and then I'll be, momming tomorrow night, and then, I still have that. And it's really hard, but like mom guilt is a real freaking thing. Like I feel guilty being here and having someone else. And then it's also this, how much can I ask my mom for help? And like, for those of you that have listened to Jen and stuff, that I'm a primary single parent. So I, have my kids, like most of the time their dad has some visitations, but like they're with me majority of the time. And so, I feel obligated to take care of them if I'm here. So it's like, it's this different like mindset in terms of like, I would have no problem walking away for 4 days and going to Minnesota and, talking to them while I'm there from, Wednesday through Sunday, and I would be fine and they would be fine. It would be great. But it's just like, if I'm here, and it's different too, because my mom would watch them in my house. So they would still be sleeping in their own bed. They would still have their own routine. They would still have their stuff. And so now it's like, where do I go? Yeah. Do I get a hotel? Because I did think about that. I did.
Yeah.
And then, but it's like, I don't really want to do that. And so it's like, I want to be able to be in my own bed if I can. And so they're going to go to my mom's house, like I said. And so I'll have a couple days of kid-free through conference. But yeah, it's really hard. And I know that's a luxury too, because I know that there's a lot of people that won't have that at all either, to be able to do that. And so like, anyone who's struggling, figuring out that balance between your kids, your significant other, your work, and online conference, like I see you and I totally get it, because I'm going to be right there with you and trying to kind of figure it out. And so I'm looking at, the next couple of days and thinking, okay, like here's what I have to do. Here's what I have to do. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I love it all, and I love conference, and it is what it is. And like, I'll survive the weekend for sure. But it will definitely have its challenges.
Absolutely. And Jen, as you talk about that, I'm reminded of your concept of harmony.
Yeah, come to the
And right.
presentation on Saturday.
Yes. And of the ideas that we need support, right? We need a community around us to support us to have harmony in our lives. I'm reminded of the idea that we need to prioritize, right? Just like in music, there's often one voice that is the primary melody that
Yep,
needs to come out more. And so during conference weekends, navigating that, of allowing that work time to come out more, maybe, and letting go of a little of that guilt, because you know that your mom time, you prioritize your kids so
I do.
often.
I
And
do.
so, yeah, so allowing for those different voices and allowing for there to be dissonance, allowing for it to be
Yeah,
hard, right? I
yeah.
just think that's so important.
Agreed. And I
Yeah.
think, I love when you and I talk about harmony because I feel like we always like take it to different levels and stuff too.
Hmm.
And so I just really appreciate the fact that you and I can have these conversations about it. And, and I've always been inside harmony talked about that, in a book called The Essentialism, it talks about how
Yeah.
priority was a singular word. It was never meant to be
Ah,
priorities. And so the more things that we have as our priority at a time, the less it makes our priority. And
yep.
so, like, our priority is always going to shift and change. And
Yes.
so,
Yep.
like, my priority shifts between me, my children, my business, my work, because my work is what fuels those things. And so, like,
Yep.
and for those of you that have spouses, it can be your family or your spouse can be a part of that too. It doesn't have to be exactly what mine are. But, sometimes I have to say, I have to work.
Yeah.
I can't take care of you. It's like you have to go to your mom's, or you're with your dad, or you're doing whatever. And so, sometimes we have to do that, and it doesn't make us
Hmm.
bad parents. It helps our kids learn and it helps our kids grow. And they're not my priority all the time. And that
Yeah.
doesn't make me a bad mom. But once I learned to accept that it was okay to
Yeah.
not make my kids a priority 24/7, it also
Hmm.
alleviated my mom guilt. And it also like
Yeah.
told me that it's okay. And so, like, once I started letting myself feel that it was okay to not say, oh, well, my kids are my priority, and that makes me a bad mom. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't at all make me a bad mom. It
No.
doesn't make me a bad mom to say that I'm my own priority in a moment either. It
Yes.
makes me a better me to say that right now I'm the priority for me because I'm not doing everything else okay. And so, like, I think that's a big thing. So sorry to get kind
Oh.
of ranty on that.
No, I think it's
So
huge. And I think for the parents listening, that's so important to hear,
yeah,
that it does not make you a bad parent to
agreed.
prioritize your work or yourself or your spouse or other aspects of your life at different
Yeah,
times. That's how priorities work. There's one that's going to need to come out more, and there will be times that it'll be your kids, and there'll be times that it won't. And that
absolutely.
is really healthy. And it's healthy
Hmm.
for your kids to see that too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
even
go
go ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say, even like when my kid's sick, like it's really hard to like think about like, and sometimes I have to evaluate like, okay, is my kid being sick the most important thing, or do I have a work meeting that like I really have to be at and like I'm
Yeah.
focused out? So,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. No, your wisdom around harmony is something that just continues to resonate so much for me. There's some great wisdom in our comments as well today, and I want to give a shout out here to Mia Iliopoulos, who talks about staying engaged during
Hmm.
the live times, and not just saying, "Oh, I'll watch this later." It's not as meaningful to me then. And
Agreed.
yeah, I'm just going to say, I'm one of those folks who I won't watch it later.
Me
Let's just
too.
be honest. I've
Yep.
got a bunch
Same.
of things that I could watch, and the chances of me doing that are fairly slim. I'll be perfectly honest with that. And so, really prioritizing what we're going to attend live, I think, is important. Where we're going to be. I will say there's one recording that I will for sure watch, because the SER Commission presentation is during Tim Ringgold's keynote. And
Oh
Tim was my
no.
coach when I first started my business so long ago, and he's a friend of mine. And I feel so bad that I won't be able to be there live for his keynote, but I will watch that. Um, and I will say too, when we're prioritizing the sessions that we're going to go to, one of the tips that I got when I was first starting that has been really helpful for me over the years with conferences is to make a focal point for the sessions I want to attend. And so, for example, when I went back to working with folks with dementia after several years of not working with them, of getting caught up on the research, getting caught up on those sessions, when I, focused more on co-occurring disorders, attending the sessions on mental health and substance use, when I started working with clients who are more diverse, looking for the sessions about those intersectional identities so that I could learn more about the clients and the identities that connect with them. And so really having a focus for each conference has also been helpful for me so that I'm able to prioritize and make decisions about which sessions to attend. And I know that's been helpful. Yeah, Allison Gunnick agrees. She says, I'm trying to make as many live sessions as I can Friday between different work commitments. And again, there is that big challenge, right, of the different commitments that we're trying to navigate all at the same time. Yeah, Mia's with me. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing any names wrong. By the way, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I always appreciate being corrected. And I love, here's another piece of wisdom from Leslie. This goes along with my idea of I've already set my out of office message. Leslie has decided she is going to order food out at least once rather than making food here at home, right? One of the joys of conference is being able to eat out, or for me, room service. So I will have to talk to my husband about the potential for room service during conference. See if I can make that work. But yeah, there will definitely be some takeout food arriving at our house by delivery at some point during the conference. I love that idea, Leslie. Thank you so much. Oh, other ideas to make the most out of these virtual conferences, Jen, or anyone in the chat?
So one of the things, so I think from this conversation, one of the things I'm going to do is try to find like fun ways of connecting. So I already foresee myself taking pictures of people on my TV as they're presenting and being like, I see you on my TV. Like, you're on TV. And so like, I already am like trying to find ways of like making connections in really fun, playful ways. And so, cause I think for me, that's how meaningful connections come about, is being playful and being fun.
Yeah.
I love Brene Brown talking about playfulness and play. And I've been trying to, engage that part of myself a little bit more.
Play is huge. One of the things I'll miss, y'all who know me, are all my selfies.
My gosh.
I love it. And Ronna Kaplan asked me at the national conference, she was like, how are you going to do your selfies? I'm like, I don't know. And I did do some like on the screen. So Jen, here, should we do a selfie right now?
Let's should.
Do one. Okay, smile. I already tilt my head this way. Yeah, tilt your head that way. There you go.
I have perfected, I'm getting better with my selfie game, because if you know me, I'm terrible at taking selfies, and I'm getting better, and I'm going to miss conference where I could take selfies.
Oh, it's like my favorite thing to do. Oh, you know what we should do? Here, we can do this. Do you remember the Wonder Twins? You're probably too young for the Wonder Twins. You were totally too young, are you? Okay, put your fist and put it towards your left. The other fist. Okay. Other one.
This one?
There we go. Okay, yep. And move it closer so it's at the edge of your screen. Ah, I love it. Smile. Oh, now except oh my gosh. Oh, hang on. Keep doing it, because I have to get the photo going here. We can do this. We can make this happen. I love it. Okay.
Like we're hugging right now too.
Oh, we can totally do a hug. Should we do a hug? Hang on, let me get it ready.
Let's do a hug.
I have to get the thing ready on the screen. Okay. Big. Right, I can only do one arm because I have to push the thing.
There we go. Selfie hug.
Selfie hug. All right, if you're listening and you're still paying attention as we're taking all these selfies, thank you. I hope some of you will help me with my selfie game for the virtual conference, because I need my hashtag Music Therapy Rockstar selfies. That's my favorite thing to post at the end of a day, is just all the selfies with all the amazing Music Therapy Rockstars, which includes all of you and you, Jen, and having the chance to meet folks, again, folks maybe who are new to me, or folks whose names that I have heard but haven't connected with, or even making those connections. So you know how, at least for me, reading research, I never connect that to people I know, even though I know a lot of researchers. And I just had the lightning bolt in my brain because I was emailing with Lindsay Wilhelm. And one of the research studies that I share a lot with self-care is the one by Moore and Wilhelm. And it's just in my head, Moore and Wilhelm. But in my head, that's not anyone. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, Moore? Carolyn Moore? I know her. How did I never connect her with this research that I use all the time? And so like, I love those moments at conference too, when we're connecting the research with the real live people. And the Twitter friends. Music Therapy Twitter is one of my favorite places, getting to connect with folks in real life. And so trying to find those ways to connect at these virtual conferences too, in ways that feel meaningful, as Jen and I have been saying, in ways that feel authentic, in ways that feel like we're in person even when we can't be.
Yeah. So my is the Music Therapy Business Center community, where it was like the first time Kat Fulton knew my name. It was like, oh my gosh, it's she's like, this is awesome. She knew my name. And it was like, I remember that. And that like really stood out to me. And that's one of the things that like, I really genuinely feel like I miss the most about conferences is not having, like not getting to like meet new people in a really authentic way. And that's like, I think one of the hardest things just in the pandemic as is that you can't just, it's hard to meet people. It's hard to like be around people. It's hard to like actually like do things. And so it's, so I feel like that's the thing that I'm going to miss the most, but we're going to have to do a Jen room at some point. So we're going to have to throw out a Zoom link and get as many Jennifers and Jens on a platform as possible, because we can't have a conference without a Jen picture.
That is true. Julie Palmieri, I'm looking at you because Julie is the one who started with the Jennifers.
And Julie's also going to change her name to Jennifer this weekend.
It's going to happen one of these years. We will have to do a Jen room. Absolutely. There will be a Jen selfie happening with as many Jens as possible. I know the Beths of Beth Engel King, by the way, Beth, shout out, has been doing a phenomenal job on the program committee for the GLR, the Western Region Conference. I got to put a shout out to her here too. I know the Beths have been trying to take over as well, along with the Jennifers. Elizabeth Brandt as well is one of the other Beths that's been working on that. But I think the Jennifers still have it.
We do.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Oh, y'all, it's so much fun, Jen, to connect on here. When I think about meaningful connections, these conversations are what is important to me about being able to have these meaningful conversations, to talk about the stuff that counts, the stuff that matters, the places where we're still learning and growing, the things we don't know. And I look forward to continuing to learn and grow at the conference this weekend. And I'm grateful as a member of the commission to get to attend some of the other regional conferences as well, and learn from the folks at those. The more I learn as a music therapist, the more I realize how much I don't know. And so I really enjoy these conferences, not only as a chance to share some of the lessons I've learned, but also really as a chance to grow. And I'm really looking forward to that. And the chance to connect, as we've been talking about. What are you looking forward to most?
I think I'm actually looking forward to attending some concurrent sessions. So I mentioned earlier that a lot of times at conferences, I don't get to go to a lot. And so I have a whole bunch starred. And there are a couple that are like at the same time. And so I know I'm going to have to go back. And so that's a little bit tricky in terms of going back, because I'm like you, where if I don't do it live, and so it still feels like I have to choose one, like you usually have to do a conference, and it's always like the two favorite ones are at the exact same time. And of course there's like presentations going on at the same time. I'm presenting two that I really want to go to, and so I'm just not going to present, and I'm going to go, no, I'm kidding. But
I know, including yours. Can I just say that you and I presenting back to back, that happens more often, and like Rochelle and I'm like, oh, come on.
Right. And you and Rochelle both have two tomorrow. So you guys are going to be like in 2 3-hour CMTs. And so I know Rochelle and I are doing ours in the morning together, and then she has her own in the afternoon. And I saw that you're on there twice as well. So kudos to you, and thank you for your contribution to our profession in terms of all of your knowledge and expertise. Like, I know that the participants are going to get a lot from you. And so I appreciate you still always doing those presentations. I've gone to several of your presentations and I always learn something. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you too, Jen. As we finish up today, let's go ahead and share, like we usually do, some of the other ways that you can connect with Jen and I. So if you're not attending the GLR MWR combined conference this weekend and you want to learn from us, Jen, where can folks continue to learn from you?
I'm looking to relaunch Career Driven Mom, hopefully in April. And so I've got a few things up the pipeline that I'm thinking about trying to do. And so hopefully I'll be relaunching a podcast with a new angle with working with Morgan Sparks, who has the MT Mompreneur, and getting that going a little bit more. And so look for that. And, you're always welcome to follow my business, Dynamic Music Therapy Incorporated, on Facebook. I usually will accept almost any music therapist friend requests on Facebook. So if you want to connect that way, go right ahead. But I'm always looking for ways of connecting and building my network of music therapists. And And then Jen with her MT mentor, which I got to be a part of the peer supervision today. And I just love that group so much. I'm a member. think I was one of the first members.
You
And
were.
so, yeah, so as soon I knew about it, and we've been talking about it long before she even launched it. And so I'm just super proud of you and that group. I love it. So tell us about it.
Oh yeah, and I love it. That's when we talk about opportunities to learn and grow. I continue to learn so much from both the professionals and the students in that group, and so the links are in the comments here, both for Career Driven Mom, for Dynamic Music Therapy Incorporated, and then for MT Mentor, the group, as well as the podcast links are in the chat there in the comments for y'all. MT Mentor is a membership group for students and professionals. I offer one-on-one office hours with me every week, along with peer supervision groups. There's one for students and one for professionals that Jen was mentioning from today. And then we also have a private Facebook group where there's always a lot of action going on. And we also have monthly content. So I do webinars and resources and reflections every month on different topics, ranging from burnout and self-care to bias, privilege, and appropriation in music therapy, to music therapy methods and humanistic person-centered music therapy, and to the core values, vision, and mission information. So a variety of topics. In April, we're going to be delving into reflexive practice, and a shout out to the phenomenal Melanie Weishart, who has shared some of her thesis information on that topic that I'm really excited to get to share with the group. And so that membership group is one piece of it. There is equity-based pricing available. If you're from a historically minoritized community, please check that out. There's also a special rate for students and interns. And then I also have my podcast, which is free and is on both Apple and Spotify, as well as on YouTube. And you can check it out. And I'll just give a special behind the scenes heads up to all y'all who chose to listen. You'll never guess who the next guest is going to be.
I have no idea who it is.
Jen has no idea. That's your hint. I can't wait for y'all to hear this interview. It's just so much fun, as are these times together, and as are our conferences together. So I'm really, really excited, Jen, to get to spend some time with you this weekend, to spend some time with all y'all. And as Laura shared in the comments right here, a huge shout out to everyone who has spent time preparing for this conference. Really, I both as an attendee and a presenter, I am so impressed. The presenters have gotten such clear guidelines on how to make our slideshows and our presentations accessible and meaningful for the folks who will attend. All of the information has been so clear and straightforward with deadlines. I love it. So thank you to the folks who have worked so hard to create this virtual conference. I'm sure that y'all have your own list of the benefits and challenges of virtual conferences from a planning perspective as well. Any last thoughts or tips, Jen, that you'd like to share as we finish up today?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the biggest thing is just try as hard as you can to make meaningful connections. If you want to reach out to me and Jen, if you need that, we are both very extroverted, and we'll always, I will talk to a brick wall if there's no one else. So, but I mean, honestly, like, I want to reiterate what we just said too about the conference. I have been a conference co-chair. I know, Jen, you have too. It is a lot of work. And so, if there's things that are going on at the conference, know that everyone is working really hard, and you might feel frustrated about things going on, and know that they are working extremely hard. And so if you see a conference planner or you have the ability, make sure you thank them for their work, because it is a lot of work to plan a conference. It takes a lot of people. And so, like, anybody who's listening, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I cannot wait to attend conference and learn from all of my colleagues and friends.
I will second that. And Allison agreed in the comments as well. Totally agree on the detailed info. Super great. Both Jen and I know we've been there. Planning conferences is a lot of time and work and behind the scenes things that no one will ever see. And so thank you to all of you who've worked so hard to prepare for this conference. We're both really excited and honored to get to be a part of it. And we look forward to connecting with you there. If you're looking for me, I'll be in the hallways running and waving and maybe doing a slow motion run to come and give you a hug if you're a hugger. And if you're not a hugger, that's okay. You can give me a whoa. I respond to the whoa if you're not a hugger. And Laura, Alex was amazing last year at the Midwestern Conference, and I see again this time as well. Once again, shout out to Alex Puser, y'all. I'm telling you, when you talk about folks that inspire and motivate you, hashtag music therapy rockstar right there. Hashtag music therapy rockstar to Jen and to all y'all. Oh yes, okay. love it, Laura. Thank you. Big reminder to get the code to prove attendance with your CBMT credit. The presenters will be giving it to you. There's a special slide for it on the template they sent us. And make sure that you're getting your code so you have that for your CBMT information. All those tips and tricks. Those of you who are listening to this after the live recording, please feel free to add your tips and tricks for virtual conferences to the comments. We can continue sharing those. If you're attending the Midwestern region and GLR conference, also please join the Facebook group and share your tips and tricks there as well, and help to spread the word so that we can all make the most out of this time virtually together. And Jen and I will look forward to connecting with y'all there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.